Hey all, Bree from the No Guilt Mom podcast, and I have got a gift for you this holiday season. If you love the No Guilt Mom podcast, and I mean love the No Guilt Mom podcast, then tell us about it. Leave us a review, and you can be entered to win a No Guilt Mom gift card. All you have to do is leave a review, take a screenshot, and then simply go to noguiltmom.com/review to enter our giveaway for a free No Guilt Mom gift card, simply for telling us what you think about the podcast. It is amazing. But don't delay. Get right on this, as we're going to be giving away that No Guilt Mom gift card on December 21st. So get right on over and visit noguiltmom.com/review.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by my amazing co-host, Bree Tucker.
Well, hello, everybody. How are you?
So in this podcast, we really want to help you love being a mom again. And today's episode with KJ Dell'Antonia, we talk about the busyness we feel as moms.
Right. It's insane because it feels like, and we talked about this in the episode, how being busy is almost like a badge of honor with moms, right?
It is. Yeah, it is. So many times, like if I'm not busy, if I am, say, sitting on the couch watching Grey's Anatomy on Hulu and I'm relaxed and I'm totally happy, I feel guilty.
Yeah, I'll admit, I do get the guilt sometimes, but more so with me because I'm a little bit absent-minded. Mm-hmm. I kind of run into the, oh crap, what did I forget?
Oh,
I'm
really?
not supposed to have downtime. What did I forget? And sometimes there is nothing, right? You know,
yeah.
And then maybe that's where it falls into the guiltiness. Like maybe that's my mind trying to make me feel guilty.
Maybe.
Although I'll be honest, 75% of the time I forgot something.
So we are working to feel less guilty, just like you are. And KJ Dell'Antonia really wants parents, with her last book, How to Be Happier as a Parent, to stop using busy as that badge of honor and actually enjoy the time with our kids.
Right. Find the fun again. Like I really, really loved her book, How to Be a Happier Parent, because not only was it well written, very funny, but she gave so many great practical tips that was like, okay, toss out the busyness and try this. Mm-hmm. See if this works. And then she gave many examples of how it did help make things better and helped her to enjoy being a mom again, which is, you know, I think something that we're always striving for.
Yeah. And KJ actually has something else notable that happened to her very, very recently. She wrote her first fiction debut novel, The Chicken Sisters, which released on December 1st. And that exact same day of release, it was chosen for Reese Witherspoon's book club for December, which is unbelievable. So if you want to get to know KJ more, The Chicken Sisters is out right now. But today we're going to be talking about how to be a happier parent. And KJ is the former editor and lead writer of the Motherlode blog at the New York Times and the co-host of the #AmWriting podcast, who she co-hosts. One of her co-hosts is Jessica Leahy, who was on episode 13. And she helps people recognize that our happiness as parents is more about how we ourselves behave and react, not about our circumstances. So we hope that you enjoy our conversation with KJ. Hey, elves. How about you bring something special this season? And I'm talking to you, elf on the shelf elves. Wink, wink. So we see you wrapping yourself in toilet paper. We see you stuffing your head in boxes of cereal and climbing the Christmas tree. And it's time to add a little bit of positivity to your hijinks. The Sibling Adventure Pack will give your kids 14 missions with pre-planned activities to encourage sibling fun this holiday season. And elves, it'll give parents ideas on what to do with you. So here's what you get inside this adventure pack. You get 14 challenges that encourage your kids to work together and play. And kids keep busy without parents needing to plan massive amounts of activities for them. So parenting win. And you can get your sibling adventure pack on the link we have in the show notes. And let's start the show.
You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom Podcast.
Hey, KJ, we are so happy to have you with us on the No Guilt Mom podcast. And we love your viewpoint that you think that happier parents are better parents and better people. We couldn't agree more.
Well, thank you.
Yes. So can you tell us a little bit about how you got into this field of really helping parents be happier with the parenting life?
So I was a parenting journalist and a family journalist, all about how politics and policy and society and culture affect parents and families for a long time. And then I took over the Motherlode blog at the New York Times, and I was doing the same work there. And at the same time there, I was also editing other journalists and other writers and other parents. And so not only was I working with those people, but I was also reading the submissions. So if you have an open section for essays in the parenting world, you are pretty much bound to be inundated. Yes, there are a lot of people who would like to write parenting essays for the New York Times, and I've read them all and published some. And what became super, super clear to me was that we were sort of collectively really, really stressed and really, really not happy about this thing that most of us had worked so very hard to create. And I totally count myself among that number. When I started this, I had 4 kids under the age of, they were 12 and under. I had a full-time job. My partner has a full-time job. We had a house, we had pets, we had sports, we have all the things. And, every day was just sort of a, get up, get your skates on, get going. And then at the end of the day, we'd just argue about who had it worse. So I really was not happy being there myself. And I knew that a lot of the people around me were also not happy.
Yeah. And I see that a lot too in the parenting world, how it does feel like you just get up, you go through the routine throughout your day. And then when your partner comes home, if you are parenting with a partner, you do kind of compare war stories about, oh my gosh, this happened today with the kids or this happened today. And it's just this constant, no joy. And you mentioned the parenting books that have come out recently and the titles. Like the one that you said in your book, All Joy and No Fun, was that?
Yes.
And that kind of describes modern motherhood.
Yeah, it really does. And we fall into it as a mindset as well. I think it's not just that it is what is happening. It's also sort of become the way to talk about it. It's all mommy needs a martini. It's all swear word kids. It's all that stuff.
Right.
That's the cool way to think about it. And it's not a super helpful way to think about it.
No, it's not a
just
super helpful.
It adds to the stress, and it makes you feel like that if you're not stressed, you're not you're not in a normal state for a parent, which
yeah, and it's using busy, I think, as a badge of honor. It's saying if I'm so hectic and I'm so busy, then oh my gosh, I must be doing it right, and I must be rocking this whole motherhood thing. When really you're just kind of miserable.
Yeah.
Well, I loved your book. It was very funny, very well written, because I also feel like when it comes to parenting books, they can be a little dry, a little heavy sometimes because there is so much information to share. And there is so much research out there. We have so much information that's given to us. But again, I just keep coming back to your book. I laughed out loud so many times. I love your chapter 2. Chores, more fun if somebody else does them, mainly your kids. Chapter 5 was homework, more fun when it's not yours. Again, very true, because last time I checked, I finished school.
Yeah, I know.
Done that. Been there.
Let's get into your book a little bit, because I love how you structured it, how you took these common complaints and common areas that parents struggle with, the mornings and with chores and with sibling drama. And you gave really realistic ways that parents can take control and become happier people during all these things. So it's particularly with mornings, because you have a very interesting situation in your house. Can you tell us about that?
Well, while things have changed. I wrote the book when my kids were younger, and that's also been a couple of years. And you know how it is with kids; things change very, very quickly. But when I was writing the book, we were getting up every morning an hour early and going to the horse barn that we help to run and doing morning horse chores every day. The one thing that it guaranteed two things. The first was that we would be late for the horse chores, but the second was that we would actually be on time for school because we were already out, and everyone had a great deal of incentive to get in the car and get going. For a couple of years there, we had sort of a perfect tardiness record. It was very impressive, but we didn't really, because we were constantly late, to the first place that we were going. So that was definitely, that was a sort of a weird interval in the parenting and kid life. We don't all do those now. The kids are teenagers, so now the kids go down, and the ones that go down actually get paid. And anyway, the circumstances have changed a little bit from the days when I was booting everyone out of the house and frantically screaming at them, that they are booting themselves out of the house these days. I've got a driver, and she drives the others to school, and it's like a miracle.
Which, can we say, is the dream?
Right.
Like, you have
right
there
there.
to the dream.
That is a success.
And when I say I have a driver, it's the child. Like, I have a driver.
I know, right?
My driver takes them to school. I don't know what you ladies do worry about. Just have your driver do it.
Driver, along with your maid and your butler and
yes, they would just take
the chores.
Care of the chore problem.
Yes, the chores. Wink, wink.
The chores. I require that the children, I don't know, straighten up for the maid. Yeah.
Right.
No, but I like how you
Not
said
that we don't have somebody that, that cleans the bathrooms. We should all own that a lot of us do have that, or at least we do when it's not COVID. And it's all very complicated. But anyway, the driver is a teenager, and the driver does the shrieking at her younger siblings, because the particular teenager who drives, the oldest in the house right now, was always the one who wanted to be on time. Like, this is the one in the book who's like massively stressed about whether or not we're going to be on time. So she does the shouting now. And one of her younger siblings is afraid of her, and the other one is really would just like to thwart her, but also doesn't want to be late for school. So she's really constantly battling that. So we have mornings are always going to be something.
Do you like get to step back and like see their dynamic, and you're like, oh, this is like so funny
as you're sipping your coffee in the kitchen?
Yeah.
Well, wonder what's going to happen next.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. It is so hard to raise kids who know how to manage money. Bree, right now, my kids are all about earning money for presents. My daughter wants to get presents for all of her friends, and my son is doing a Secret Santa with his friends.
Oh, I hear you. And if you're looking to raise kids that are financially responsible, we have got a lifesaver recommendation for you that you need to check out. It is Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app made for families that gives kids and teens an easy and fun way to gain financial literacy, all while giving parents peace of mind.
You can send instant money transfers, automate allowance, and even keep an eye on kids' spending with real-time notifications. Meanwhile, your kids can begin their journey towards financial autonomy by learning how to save, invest, and spend wisely.
So sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/NGM.
That's greenlight.com/NGM to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/NGM. My son is playing a game right now on his computer where he's a thief and the cops are after him. So I'm so excited about this new app, Give As We Grow, where instead of being the quote unquote bad guys, kids are practicing giving back.
That is so cool, Joanne. I really wish that there was something like this when my kids were younger that got them excited about giving back to others and helped them build a better understanding of what it really means to volunteer.
Give As We Grow is the first of its kind free educational mobile app for children ages 8 to 11 that teaches kids via fun, service-focused minigame quests to tap into their unique talents and interests to help others.
And did you know that studies show that there is a biological connection between generosity and happiness, and that volunteering improves people's physical and mental health? I mean, kids who volunteer typically do better in school and are less likely to engage in risky behaviors. And that is something that I think we all want for our kids.
Ready to spark a new movement in generosity? Find and download Give As We Grow for free in the App Store for Android and iOS. And for resources for the whole family, visit giveaswegrow.org.
Sometimes, yeah, we make a personal point of just trying not to say anything as they stomp in, shrieking, she wasn't even up. I went to her room and she said she was up and she wasn't even up. And you're like, yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Oh, wait. Oh, look, there's a muffin.
I don't know what to say to you. I have no help. So yeah, we try to say as little as possible.
See, though, I think that is a great parenting tactic right there when we say as little as possible, because our kids tend to tune us out if we talk too much. And I found that usually if I say as little as possible, they figure out whatever their complaint is on their own. Like, have you seen that happen?
Yes. Well, that particular interaction, I had to get you up and you weren't even awake and now we're going to be late and all that stuff. It's going to resolve itself whether I say something or not. And when I do say something, it just tangles everything up worse. Because now, it's the same thing that is in the siblings chapter about younger children. And it took me forever to learn, just to lay it out there. Like, I was always like, well, yeah, it's terrible that you didn't get up. I mean, obviously you should have been up. And then that child would be like, well, she came in the bed and poured water on me. That didn't happen. But, I was like, oh, well, that's terrible too. And I was sort of constantly coming in on one side or another. And it took me, that was the hardest part of the book, honestly. And the most research and the most experts that I had to talk to and the most other parents that I had to talk to get to a point where I sort of felt like I had even the faintest handle on the sibling interactions and the fighting, honestly. So to learn to just basically never take sides, no matter how obvious it seems like who is at fault, that was a great moment for my parenting. My partner would still run in every so often and be like, but she called her fat. And isn't that the one thing? Like, you can't say fat, right? Because then they're going to become anorexic and bulimic and all. And I was like, no, in our family, that's okay. Like, for some kids, that would be a huge thing. For your daughters, happily, they both know that they're not fat. So it's like she called her blue. It is fine.
Was there a particular moment when you felt that you had that handle on the sibling drama? Like, is there a story that you can recall that we're like, you
had a moment
differently
and you're like, yeah, I got this.
I have mostly stories where I didn't react differently. All the times that I did take sides. There's the one in the book where the one child who wants to be on time all the time also wanted time in the bathroom alone. And the other child, like I said, just wants to thwart her sister. That's it. That's her whole goal in life, flat out. Like, if there's an employment to be gained in thwarting sisters, that's where she's heading. And so literally the first child, who's also a natural, and she's a morning person. She gets up, get up at 4:30 to head down to the barn. No problem. Get up at 5 o'clock to make sure everybody's got pajamas for pajama day. Yeah, I'm on it. Like, and I am so not like that, but she goes to bed really early. She gets up really early. This is her MO. And so she had set her alarm so that she could get up and get in the shower at, 5:15. And the other daughter literally set an alarm for 5:14, got up, slammed it shut, ran into the bathroom, slammed the door, and locked it. There's only one bathroom.
I remember that story.
That is some good sister thwarting there.
And we woke up to, it sounded like the house had been hit by a hurricane. Like, just screams and thunks and thuds and yeah. Good times.
Oh my God.
Doesn't it feels really obvious in that situation that the child who set the alarm is really kind of the wrongdoer, right? The 5:14 run in the bathroom just to hold you out. But there was always another side to it, which was that child really wanted to be included more with her sister and she just wanted her sister to talk to her about how they were going to work out the shower thing and how they were going to figure out who was going to do what. So, when I sided with the older child, that just made the younger child feel even more left out, and
Right.
like nothing was, she just she couldn't do anything right, which then she just seized on that and ran with it for a while. So
That's a really good point. Like I see that dynamic play out a lot with my two kids. Like
Same with my two.
yeah, my younger son will do things to thwart his sister, and it's usually the reason's exactly what you said. Like he just wants to be included. He loves her so much.
Yeah.
And then she looks at him and she's like, he doesn't like me. He always does all this stuff to me.
Yep. Exact same conversation between my son and my daughter.
Yep. It's funny because I have a younger sister, 7 years younger, and I'm brought back to my childhood when my parents were telling me, you don't understand, she likes you. And now I see it in my kids.
Well, right now the younger daughter spends a lot of time telling the older daughter why she prefers my older son, who's at college. So he's the good. Yeah, he's always the good one. So there was one afternoon when we came home from school, and they fought the whole way home from school, and they fought the whole way into the house. And I had just, I'd probably just done some of this research. And also I just had nothing to say anymore. So I do remember sort of just shutting myself down and refusing. I just wasn't going to go in. And, there was hitting, there was totally stuff that you could justify taking a side on and not taking a side on. And I just went in my room and shut the door because I was just done. And literally 20 minutes later, they were baking cookies. I was so angry too, because they're baking cookies and I'm still at a 10 on the stress scale, and they're baking cookies. Give me the cookies.
Right? You're all like,
all I got to say here is those are my cookies.
Yeah, you better give me like most of those cookies.
I like
Bring
that.
them over here.
That's like the biggest mom tax ever. That is a huge mom tax. You have no idea. I have 3 new gray hairs just from that argument alone.
Oh,
just from that.
I think I took a lot of mom tax this past weekend because we're recording this November 3rd. And Halloween, I took all the Halloween candy mom tax. I took them all. Every time I would go into their drawer and I'd be like, mom tax.
Yep.
I love that story, first of all, because a lot of times when people read parenting books, they think that it's written by an expert of someone who has parenting completely down. And what we're seeing like over and over again is that most people who write parenting books like yourself, you're kind of looking for these areas that you can improve in your own life. And like your life and your parenting improves through the course of writing this book because you're researching everything and you're trying these new tactics. So it's just so encouraging to like everyone else out there who are like, okay, people do not have this parenting thing down. Everyone is learning along the way.
Well, okay, that's what I was going to throw in there is that I do feel like in all of these books, and you said this repeatedly in your book, and I love it. It made me kind of throw my hands up. Yes, hallelujah. You kept repeatedly like, okay, there's this idea, but in the end, you do what works for you and for your family.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you hear across the board with there's all these different parenting techniques, but every single book and researcher we've spoken to, I feel like that's the underlining story at the end of it. Like you need to find whatever it is that makes that connection in your family, and then you move forward with that.
Right. I mean, you can even probably look at your own kids and see examples of that. Obviously with that kid who gets up naturally early, extra time to sleep in would not be a reward or whatever. But with the kid who just can't get themselves out of bed, then to say, if you can do X, then I won't wake you in the morning. That is huge. It's all kind of the same thing. Some things, there's nothing wrong with more sleep as a reward, but it's only going to work on the kid who wants it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everyone has their different personalities, and you kind of have to match your parenting to that.
Plus, we all have our own like really cool interests. For example, I have this one friend who's just an amazing traveler. She's in the book, probably. She's definitely in the book. And, so she's raising her kids, and she's taking her kids to spend a year in Spain, and she's taking her kids to, work on a library in the Dominican Republic. Not now, because, but, to work in a library in the Dominican Republic. And she's taking her kids to, all summer on a boating around I'm not that person. Like, I'm just not. And I can't raise my kid. It'd be really super cool to raise your kids as, circus trapeze artists, but unless you're already a circus trapeze artist, you're probably not going to go there. So I think it's really important to try to, just to be aware of what it is that you are and what it is that you do that other people look at and go, oh, look, she bakes with her kids every weekend, or, hey, they're constantly shooting baskets in their driveway. That's so cool. I wish my family shot baskets together. Everybody's got something.
We're hitting that time of year where my brain gets so overloaded in December that I look for anything to make life easier. And I have to say, Brie, that Green Chef is one of those services.
Yes, Green Chef is there to take away the dreaded, oh my goodness, what are we going to eat for dinner tonight? You can eat clean all holiday long with over 80 weekly meal options each week, featuring things like quick and easy, protein-packed, calorie-smart, or my personal favorite, the keto options.
And you don't have to lose track of healthy eating habits during the holidays because every Green Chef customer gets a free session with one of their registered dietitians who can walk you through how to make clean eating work for you, which is very cool.
And I have to say that I have been loving their recipes lately. They put things together I have never thought of. This week we're trying the lemon basil caper pork with sauteed cauliflower, bell peppers, almonds, and feta cheese, my favorite. Their recipes make it so easy to support my wellness goals without skipping on flavor.
For Green Chef's best deal of the year, get $250 off with code NGM250 at greenchef.com/NGM250. That's greenchef.com/NGM250. And don't forget to use that code NGM250 to get $250 off.
Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. Hey, Aubrey here, and I wanted to share one of my favorite gifts to give during the holiday season, a Storyworth book. It is the most amazing gift ever. Storyworth is an online service that lets you create a special and unique gift of someone's story. I've given Storyworth books to both of my parents, and it has been their favorite gift, hands down. And did I mention it is so easy? Storyworth emailed my parents questions every week that I handpicked from their massive list of questions that they have. All my parents had to do was open their email and answer them. That easy. I asked my dad questions like, did you have any rules that you set for yourself as a parent, which you immediately broke? And he did. I even asked both of my parents, are you more like your mom or your dad? And they shared a lot of really amazing qualities that I didn't know about my grandparents at the time. Then at the end of the year, Storyworth compiles all of their answers, puts them into this gorgeous book that covers everything. My parents love showing us their books, and I personally love getting a chance to read them. With Storyworth, I am giving those I love a thoughtful and personal gift from the heart that preserves their memories and stories for years to come. Go to storyworth.com/NGM and save $10 on your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/NGM to save $10 on your first purchase.
Right. Everyone does got something, yeah.
There's that one family, it was 3 boys, and they're all massively successful. And one's a politician, and one's Ari, the Uber agent, and I don't remember who the other one was. But you know what the thing was that they do? That they did every night at dinner that everyone had? They argued.
I believe it.
Massive, huge arguments, shouting arguments over each other, apparently, every single night. And that was their family thing. And, look at them. They're all 3 of them are like enormously successful arguers. Now.
It's a very,
and they don't hate each other. Wow. Imagine that.
Right? It's an interesting story you bring up because I used to work in the television industry and my first job was at Ari Emanuel's agency at Endeavor. And so I knew him. And he was one of those people, we all worried about getting stuck in the elevator with him because he was so intense. He was going to drill us and ask us all these questions as assistants. But yeah, that's funny you bring up the Emanuels. They're all super successful.
They're all uber successful. But if you read them talking about their childhood, that's the thing they say they remember are these massive fights around the dinner table. And I just think we should all be deeply reassured by that. Because if massive fights are what we're looking for to raise successful children,
I know, right? Then hey, there's hope.
There is hope. No, but I like how you say with the fights because this is kind of a segue. But as a child, as being raised as, a girl, I was told not to interrupt, not to be bossy. And so I never quite learned how to do that fight at home. Every time the sibling fights came up, it was hey, no, we don't fight. We don't do that. And you just become afraid of conflict. So I feel with the Emanuels, in that culture and kind of we have to look at the gender roles as well in that, because girls should be encouraged to fight just as much as men should. And my sister, who is always very, very argumentative and still is.
But you love her.
I love her so much. And I feel like she is such a strong woman because she's not afraid to go there. Like, she's not afraid.
Yeah. Yeah. It really, it can be a strength. It absolutely can be.
Yeah. I think fighting could be a strength. I want to learn how to fight a little bit better and not back
I
down.
wish that I too am not super great at conflict. I actually am an only child. So I did not grow up with the fights in the house at all. So figuring out how to deal with them, I think, was even sort of another level of difficult for me, because it did always seem like there is it still kind of boggles my mind, even when I argue with, and certainly, there's no lack of children shrieking, "I hate you, you've ruined everything" in my life. And it still kind of amazes me that that'll happen. And then 30 minutes later, it'll be like, "Yo, you want a grilled cheese sandwich?" Yeah, I'd love a grilled cheese sandwich. Okay. Like, it still amazes me that that everything just does drop back to normal. I guess because I don't know, I grew up in a house where there was a lot of fighting, but I didn't, and it dropped back to normal. It was all fine in the end, but I don't know. It didn't take. I still fear conflict.
And it's such I feel like a drawback to fear conflict too. Like, every time conflict comes up, oh my gosh, like I had this situation lately with an accountant, and I could not think straight, days leading up to this call where I had to confront them on something, and your head gets all hazy and your heart starts beating hard. And I mean, that's just a result of not being comfortable with conflict.
It's true.
So sibling
all
conflict,
right, so
good thing.
Encourage your children to fight more. There we go. That's our point one of the podcast.
That is the point.
But fight
More
fair.
fighting.
Fight fair.
Fight
Fight
fair.
fair.
That's
and
the
the
important
girls
thing.
get to do as much yelling as they want, which
Yes.
thank goodness, because that's
You
what
just have to
happens in our-
outwit your siblings. That's all it really comes down to.
I think it's really knowing how to advocate for yourself too, in addition to the fighting.
In our house, the girls are the terrorists and the boys are the peacemakers. So it's kind of
Really?
oh, absolutely. That
I
is
have
our
one
constant
each.
joke, is that we are raising 2 terrorists and 2 hostage negotiators.
I like that. There you go.
They can go tear up the place and make some change in the world. Well, you have a new book coming out in December.
I do. Yes.
In December. Tell us about that book.
So I've undergone a total shift. I'm still writing essays and things for the New York Times occasionally, but I've gone over to fiction. There's only so much you can say about your teenagers before they get really upset. So I'll just pretend these are not real. No, there are no children.
Any
children were harmed in the writing of my novel. So yeah, so I wrote my first novel. It's called The Chicken Sisters. I'm super excited about it. It's about 2 sisters who were raised in a small town in Kansas. One stays, one leaves. They have an ongoing fight about who made the better life choices. And it all comes out when they get drafted into a reality television competition between the 2 fried chicken restaurants in their town. So it's fun and funny, but it is also, I sort of realized after reading it and thinking about it, it kind of all comes back to this same theme of it actually being quite difficult sometimes to figure out what it is that makes us happy. Mm-hmm. So, as parents, sometimes, even if you sort of had all the choices in the world, it's not entirely clear. Like, well, I don't know what would make me happy. I don't have that many. I don't feel like I have all those options, and I don't feel like I have control over that. And even when you do have control, you end up, like my characters did, really confused about whether, moving out of your small town is going to make you happy, or going back to your small town, or staying with your partner, or not staying with your partner, or trying a different career or not trying a different career. So that was a big part of the book. And, another piece of it is also something that we talked about here, which is, valuing your own valuing the life that you have and that you've created over the ones that you're seeing on social media. That is a huge theme in the book. Anyway, I had a lot of fun writing it, and I'm so excited to have it finally come out. It got delayed because COVID. That's
Because
the fourth
of
time
it,
I've used
because-
that phrase in this podcast, because you can't not.
It's going to be an everlasting impact. I
Because
mean, there's
COVID.
just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because 2020, hashtag
Because 2020. Yeah.
Yeah.
there was something funny actually I saw on social media of the idea of using 2020 as like a new swear word. So you just like replace it. Like,
Oh, I know, right? 2020.
2020.
I'm going to start doing that.
I like it.
I think that's a good, I think that
think-
is definitely something we need to start as a trend.
Oh, 2020. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Now, you also have a podcast. Tell us about your podcast.
Yes, our podcast is called #AmWriting. I've got two co-hosts. My co-host Jessica Leahy, who I think you guys know. She's
been on the podcast. We love her.
Exactly. And our other co-host is Serena Bowen. She's a multiple-time best-selling romance author, ND published. She's got 35 books. They are awesome and amazing and super distracting, I might add. So if you're thinking you need a little something to listen to during this month that is not the news, Serena Bowen's romances are a great way to go.
I will definitely check
Oh.
that out. I need something super distracting. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We have so enjoyed this, and I know our listeners will appreciate your views on like what makes a happy parent and finding your own thing that makes you happy rather than comparing it to social media. And of course, let those siblings fight.
I know, right? Who knows? Who knows what life skills and amazing things are going to accomplish from it?
Yes, exactly.
Well, thanks for having me. This was really fun.
So KJ, she was so fun to talk to.
I know. I just, again, I can't get over how real she is. Like when you talk to her and she gives her stories, you're like, oh my goodness, I had one just like that. Or I totally understand where she's coming from and what she's talking about.
I totally agree. And I loved her sibling story about when she found her girls like fighting that one day after school and she just couldn't take it anymore. And she shut herself in her room. And then 20 minutes later, she found the girls downstairs baking cookies with each other.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy like that, isn't it? Like sometimes you're just, why can't you listen when I tell you to love each other? But no, they got to do it on their own, right?
They do got to do it on their own. And I think it's like such an important lesson for parents to show us that, hey, we don't need to be involved in coaching our kids through everything. It's actually better for them to figure out their own solutions to their problems sometimes than to us have to like be the referee.
Yeah, no, it's very important. It's kind of funny because, you know, your brain takes those past experiences and that's what it bases your knowledge on. So if you don't have enough of those situations where things are going pretty awry, kids are fighting, like the world is coming to an end, you step aside and they figure out that answer, it's hard to remember that actually happens.
It is hard to remember that it actually happens, but
I don't know. Maybe I need to start making like a list or something, putting like a Post-it on my bathroom mirror that says like, remember that your kids were able to successfully navigate a fight last week, this week, whatever. So that way I can remember it every day when I wake up.
every day that we don't need to insert ourselves, because I know that when my kids are fighting, oh my gosh, like my throat closes up and I'm like, oh, like I just want the like drama and the conflict to stop right in that moment.
Right.
And if you're listening right now and you think the same thing, like we go and as moms and we try to stop it.
Because we think we're super mom and that's our job. Because somewhat of society thinks it is, right?
It does. Society does think it is.
They kind of put a lot of pressure on us that we're supposed to fix it all, people. And guess what?
It's
I've
not
got a
our
cape,
job.
but I am not super mom.
Moms should not need to fix it all. Like moms, it should not be that way. It is not all on us. And in fact, when we step back and kind of like are there to guide our kids, I think that we get better outcomes.
Well, that's when we do become super because we're helping them build those life skills.
Yes.
It's so hard when you're in the moment. And I think that, if you're having a hard time getting that, like think for those who have kids that are, let's say, school age and older, think back to when your child was an infant and you weren't getting your sleep through the night and you have to bathe them, you have to feed them, you have to do everything for them. And it seems like it's never ending when you're in it. Mm-hmm. And then flash forward to school age kids, they're feeding themselves. Mm-hmm. They're getting dressed by themselves. They may not take the best showers by themselves, but they can do it, right? Like,
yes.
So it's really hard when you're in it, but I promise you, it gets better and you see the progress over time.
Yes, it does get better when we step back and just watch.
Yeah.
and let them take over more. Let the kids take over more.
So if you're like me and you like comedy and you like somebody that you can relate to, you definitely have to read KJ's book, How to Be a Happier Parent. It's amazing. And I cannot wait to dive into the Chicken Sisters.
I can't wait either.
Being from the Midwest.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm not from Kansas. I'm from Missouri, but we are next door neighbors. I am so excited to read that book. So I'm giddy with excitement here.
Yeah. So, hey, while you're here, if you haven't yet subscribed to the No Guilt Mom podcast, can you hit that subscribe button? That way you get me and Bree in your podcast folder every time a new episode comes out, which are Tuesdays and Thursdays. And if you have another quick second, we would really appreciate you to rate and review us, like 5 stars. We hope that we've deserved that. And let's read a review, Bree.
Yes, we have a great one here from I believe it is possibly a friend of our show that's been on a couple of times.
Yes.
Dr. Z. We have a fun, smart, informative review. Joanne and Bree are a dynamic duo. They are fun, funny, and smart. This podcast will give us listeners great tips, advice, and a nice little break from our everyday lives.
I love that. We want to give a nice little break to your everyday life.
And we hope we do. And,
Yes.
and I hope you enjoy our dynamic duo.
Yes.
I always tell everybody, like, we're a fun group of gals. Group, like, there's more than 2 of us, but still.
We hope we bring the fun in your ears. That's not a good tagline. We hope we bring the fun in your ears.
We hope we make your ears party. No, I don't know. But
Give your ears a
hopefully-
party.
I know.
No.
Hopefully you have as much fun listening to us as we have doing this together and bringing the podcast to you. So thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Zegler. Appreciate it so much. Love, love, love your podcast as well. If you haven't heard
Yes.
hers, definitely do that one.
Until next time. The best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you.
Are you looking for something to listen to with your whole family? Then check out 6 Minutes, produced and created by Gen Z Media. With over 200 twisty, cliffhanger-filled episodes, 6 Minutes tells the story of 11-year-old Holiday who was pulled from the icy waters with no memory of who she is or where she came from.
3 years ago, Brinley Pasternak helped the Anders family uncover the truth about Holiday's past. Now she'll need them to help her find the truth about hers. In 6 Minutes Out of Time, the long-awaited sequel, Cyrus Anders is found unconscious near the mysterious Elixir Academy in Florida, and Brinley learns the school may have a shocking connection to her missing mother.
Dive in now and get the most downloaded family audio adventure in history. Follow 6 Minutes wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen early and ad-free with the GZM family subscription.